a tour of dwarfall. Probably don't know. I I think I used to stream a little bit in this Minecraft world, and I kind of stopped doing it for a while. And that's kind of because I stopped playing Minecraft for a while. I got distracted by some other games. You know, I really just started playing some other games, so I started doing that instead. And so I recently started playing Minecraft again, and I noticed Caves and Cliffs came out, so I decided to do a whole new world. And, you know, I ultimately looked at it and I was like, I kind of have to leave behind my own world because I do want to see everything that Caves and Cliffs has to offer. And so far, I've got mixed feelings about Caves and Cliffs because, and I think I'll save that. I won't really talk about that. I'm also trying to be offline more often, if that makes sense. I'm kind of not really big about being online right now. I'm trying to be more in real life and develop my actual real life rather than being online all the time. In any case, this is Dwarfall. This is about the spawn point of this world. As you can see, I've kind of decorated it a little bit. You know, just as something. And I used to play pranks on my friends where I'd be like, see this tower, this here, this, that's the thing. Because I would kind of not brag about this world, but like, you should see my world, my Minecraft world. And I'd be like, hey, see this tower? You know, and you might already be able to tell what's wrong with that prank now. You can kind of see other stuff that looks a little more put together than this tower, but I would lead people to this tower and I'd say, hey, this is my world, and yeah, I said, this is it. This is it, to kind of play pranks. And it worked a couple times, but as I kept building, it didn't do this. So a couple things about this world. This is all survival. It's mostly... What the fuck? Huh. Okay. Huh. Oh. Okay. So, context, this is a pre-Caves and Cliffs world. So, I'm just kind of surprised to see a Caves and Cliffs creature. This was like, what, December... This world, I think, went offline in, like... I want to say January of 2021, in any case. As you can see, why that doesn't really work anymore, this world kind of... I kind of built too much. It's all survival, it's all built by me, and I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of a tour. You'll notice I have diamond. That's because I've converted some villagers. That has varying effects. For some reason, they have this... In the version of this game, they had a habit of... When I would reload the world, they would be outside of their house, and I'd kind of close their houses out so they couldn't die. But that would result in them being stuck outside their house at night, and they would get eaten by zombies. So, would also have this weird effect where if I did that and switched to peace, they would get converted, and then I would switch to peaceful, in which case, them being, you know, hostile mobs, they would despawn. So there's a lot to do here. There's a lot to see. We're going to kind of take a look at all of it. I'm going to start with some of the more fantastic things. So, or less fantastic things. So this is the big mine. This is kind of a big thing about this world. Is there's this mine here. It's not a huge part of the world, but it is pretty cool. There's some lore that was supposed to surround this world that I didn't necessarily get to, and essentially this mine was going to be a part of it. The big thing about this mine was that it was going to be, you know, where all the material came from for the town, and that's partially true. You're going to kind of scratch, if you've never done a big build and needed to gather resources for it, you might scratch your head like, this is what it took? And yes and no, there was other places that materials came from, and I'm going to tell you where all my materials come from, because I'm not expecting you to just, you know, whatever. But I really did build this all in survival, and I don't necessarily want to brag, but I do necessarily want some credit for it. So this is where a lot of the stone came from, and this was going to be... This world essentially is forever going to be a unfinished project because essentially I have moved on from it and I really don't have any interest in continuing it. So, Little Arabia, Pakistan, which may seem a bit offensive. I never really had a going name for this area, and my frame rate dropped significantly, but it was going to have some Arabic and Pakistani vibes to it, because I kind of wanted to do I kind of got started with this, and I'm like, I'm going to do like a Desert Arabia thing, and my friend who is Pakistani was like, nah man, you should do a Pakistan thing. And I was like, eh. So the Pakistan thing required a lot of green. I actually didn't end up requiring as much as the stuff as I thought, but I did do so. So this was going to have a whole city to it, like each of... And this is actually funny, because this... I wanted to build a mosque, and this was the chosen point for Mecca. You know, because we were kind of like, if we're going to build a mosque, you've got to have... there's a place inside the mosque, I can't remember the name of it, but essentially its purpose is it serves as a signifier of which direction Mecca is in, because in the Islamic faith, in the Muslim faith, you pray towards Mecca. This was the original storehouse where all the construction was done. These are filled with the leftover miscellaneous construction stuffs that I needed. If you go very, very far in that direction, there's a Badlands biome, which is where I got the terracotta for this build. I got more terracotta than I needed. I would basically take these diamond pickaxes with Unbreaking 3 and Fortune 1, which, hell yes, and just go to town until my inventory was mostly full or I got bored. So we'll go into the mosque. Have any pork on me? I do. You don't bring pork chops to a mosque. Oh, you don't really... You probably shouldn't leave them in Arabia. Just toss them in a fire real quick. It's not that I'm worried someone's gonna take offense to this. It's just... I don't know. I kind of want to fit with the lore of this world a little bit. And this be a Muslim area. The sheep. Pretty cool. We basically had the original stock of sheep, and then we did colors, bred those colors, moved them around, and the reason we did that was because we were making these fantastical things here. Now, interestingly enough, there's this here. This is pretty cool. So this is... I've never been inside a mosque, so this would... So I kind of based it a little bit off of churches, because I kind of assumed that being a similar-ish faith in some respects, the architecture of the buildings would be similar-ish. So this was going to be the main, you know, speaking area. There was going to be an elevated speaking area where the imam could do the prayers, lead the prayers, and this is supposed to be the Pakistani flag, and it's kind of the Pakistani flag if you've never actually seen the Pakistani flag. If you have seen the Pakistani flag, don't worry about it. And this was going to be the imam's little living quarters, got his bed. We're going to use a lot of green because, you know, Islam. And then you have the roof here, which is the Pakistani flag, or the Pakistani, you know, sickle moon with the star. And this here is our indicator towards Mecca. Again, can't really remember the term. I did have it, I did know it at some point. And then you have these long stairs which lead up, which were a pain to make, which does access the roof area, this outer roof area. I imagine, I don't know if like mosques are the kind of places like churches do sometimes where they're like hosts of feasts and events, but I would imagine that would be set up out here if that was the way to do it. Like you'd have the speaking area, and then little Timmy'd wander over here and fall off, and yeah, so that would be a thing. And then you have this back rooms here, which again, kind of basing on churches, would probably be storage of essential materials. What is this? Why isn't that closed up? That's embarrassing. Yeah. And all the sandstone was gathered from a desert that is in that direction. In fact, I may be able to show you that desert later. That was that. And this place, again, when I started playing other games, I kind of went wayside. All these areas were supposed to be bigger and more developed than they were. That was going to be the farmer's house, and we were going to farm some wheats here. And so then we're going to go to the nursery, which eventually turned into the, which was going to turn into the Elven City. So you have the nursery, you have the stock of bamboo, and I will tell you why there's so much bamboo. I did use bamboo for a project, and this was to grow nether trees, or nether stream stuffs. Right here, these two areas were. And we will go into the city proper eventually, but while we're out here, just go ahead and look at this. Interesting enough, this the city proper was built around a village, you know. So it retained a lot of stuff from the village. All the roads are just paved over the original roads. And they continue to out here. This existed, I don't remember exactly how it existed, but it was a bridge that went over this water here. This river used to end right here. I extended it down there to go all the way across and out. So that's why this kind of has a weird non-natural, because this is not natural. This river originally just went out to here and back up that way. So that is that. Actually, it might have, we'll talk about it. I'll have you look at what was going to be the Elven City. I kind of figured, you know, elves, wood elves, live in the trees. That was going to be a cool thing. It kind of kept getting pushed back because I was like, I really want to be inspired with the architecture. But this area down here is mostly natural. None of these trees were here originally, so every tree that you see here, I placed myself. So obviously, this was not originally a jungle biome. There were not originally jungle trees. There were not originally spruce trees, or dark oak trees, or birch trees around here, or acacia trees. That is all stuff I put here to kind of fill this atmosphere, because originally this area was my nursery. I needed wood for my building, and this is where I would get it from, and you know, so we'll kind of go up, we'll take a look, and you'll kind of get a feel for what I'm doing. Now, you may also be looking at these jungle trees and be like, that's pretty freaking tall for jungle trees. So yeah, it is. These are actually double trees. So what I would do is I would sprout for these. What I would do is I would sprout one jungle tree, and then I would chop off all the leaves and any wood that was in the way. Here we go. You can kind of get an idea of what I would do. So that's basically what I would do. Is the jungle tree would grow, I'd cut off the top, or not cut the top off, I would just shave away all the leaves, put some dirt down, replant another jungle tree, and that's how you get these double tall jungle trees. And I think I was originally going to have this be one story, and this was going to be the main level, and then there were going to be like smaller sub-levels that were at different heights for different things, like, you know, something might have been between those two right there and have attachments there. And I was going to fill them in kind of like this and have little buildings, much smaller buildings than probably anything else I built around. It's really cool that you can't tell what that building is in the distance there, but it's some pretty cool stuff. That's actually one of the ones I'm most proud of. That's actually where I left off. I think a part of the problem here is I did this myself, and therefore I was doing this all myself, and I didn't have anyone else. But the other thing was, I didn't really have blueprints I was following. I was building most of this as I went. This was, you know, I wasn't using schematics or anything. I would just build things and be like, yeah, I like how that looks, and keep doing it. Which is why there is a variance on how things look. There are some things that were developed and were meant to be copied everywhere. Like, for example, all these walls are supposed to have those spaced wood pieces. Most of them do. This side here does not. And all of the corners, I originally built them to be like that, and then I built this one, and I'm like, I kind of like that one a little more, and I kind of want to put it on all my corners, and I didn't. That will be where we end the tour. That's the Great Lighthouse. This is the river cave aquifer thing. I built that. This was originally just solid, because again, there was originally no water flowing through here, and I just decided to build through there. There was a lot of wood needed for a lot of these projects, and all that wood was sourced from here, unless there was an existing area of wood that I could go to. I don't remember what I was going to do with this. I think this might have just been something I did. Oh, I think I remember what I was doing. I was testing if bamboo would grow up into stone, and yeah. This was originally going to have an actual gateway, because what was going to happen is when I was finished, I was going to have a little walkway that would lead down to there. That didn't end up happening. We did have this pathway through the mountain, which is actually pretty nice. I kind of like it. And then you have these little terrariums, you know, pretty cool. And then you have Little Japan, kind of. So you have this walkway, which I've kind of learned a little bit about the cultures I was building off of in order to do this. So this would be kind of a torii, but I don't think I'm using it correctly, because I know tories usually mark the entrance to Holy Land in the Shintoism religion, and this really isn't. I think I just kind of got that flavor and started applying it around. There is a place where I properly use a torii for a shrine, but it's not there. I think I just kind of wanted that bridge to be not plain. And I'm kind of mad how much effort I put into the bottom of the bridge, and that ended up being pretty much invisible to anybody who would ever come across this. So we will go ahead and take a look at the actual Little Japan. And again, this is another one of those things that was meant to be a lot bigger than it was, or than it ever developed being. These houses are forever empty. So for this, it was kind of something I had to teach myself to do. I looked at some inspiration, and I played with a lot of different things, and I ended up combining some things too. So essentially, this was the first one I did. I used the terracotta, and I kind of tried with that design, with that roof design, and I'm like, doesn't really give off the vibe I want. And so I went to this roof design, and I'm like, it's close, but not quite. And so then I did this one over here, and I'm like, we're getting somewhere. I need to combine these ideas to really get what I want to do. And we'll go over there in a second. We'll enter the torii in a second. So this was kind of a... God, I used to... Again, when I was building these, I memorized the words you would need. So this is like an actual miniature of a Japanese type of castle. So you would have these walls around, and usually you would actually have to enter through a building, but I kind of skipped that part and instead went with kind of a Zen garden-ish thing. So you would enter here, you've got the little bridge over the water with the bamboos and the sugar canes, which the bamboos grew way too much. Yeah. And then you would have this building, and this was your thing. Now, one of the things I noticed in Japanese architecture, especially in the reference to castles, was there is a particular construction technique that was utilized in castles, wherein you could not directly go into the main building of the castle. You had to pass through a guard building, essentially, first. So I did capture that. I did kind of use that here. So you would go through this building, and then you would be able to go into the main building. However, this main building ended up being really small, and I kind of felt like I could do something bigger. And I didn't really feel that until I started building around it, and I'm like, this isn't really big enough to do justice to what it is. So now we'll look at the torii and the Shinto. And again, cool. Bamboo got out of control. Oh, and then there was this building, which is an actual replica of a Japanese storehouse, except with the spiral staircase, because I couldn't figure out anything better. So this was an actual thing. It would have had a thatch roof and would have stood on stilts quite like that. That is actual Japanese. Okay. That's weird. Because I am above ground. Okay. And this is a little map of the area. You'll notice those big black shapes. We will talk about those in a sec. We're going to go there next. And I will talk about this project and how long it took, because you may notice this project incorporates quite a bit. This area incorporates quite a bit of nether stuff. And I did actually have to go to the nether to get that nether stuff. In any case, I don't think I actually ended up building the nether at all. I can't remember if I did. I may have, but I don't know if I actually did. In any case, so there was that, and this was kind of my way of doing a little path. Then you have the torii, which has multiple torii little gates, and then you have a Shinto shrine to an actual Japanese god. He's the Japanese god of fishing, so fish around his thing. I believe that I am not familiar with Shintoism, but I would like to think that it is probably against or frowned upon to fish in the shrine, in the god's shrine, or maybe that's something he liked. So don't know, but we do have some little fish. Maybe that's disrespectful. I don't know. I'm not a part of the. I'm not a practicing Shintoist. In any case, now we have the Grand Palace. Now the Grand Palace was to consist of 5 separate buildings, with this one being the centerpiece and the most extravagantly built. You had the building, the watchtower. You were going to have the palace, the watchtower, the guards tower, the servants' quarters, and the barrack. The servants' quarters and the emperor's palace, and the emperor's quarters. So this was going to be the palace, and when you walk in... Now, I don't know if you watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or not, but that is my version of the little rift that happens after the freeze frame in Diamondism. I don't remember which. I didn't actually watch that part of JoJo, but it was very iconic. I thought it'd be cool. I was friends with JoJo people at the time, and I thought they would be impressed. They were. The fun thing is, I don't read sheet music, nor do I play any instruments, so I had to pretty much find a piano rendition of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, translate those piano strokes of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, translates those piano strokes to sheet music, and then translate that sheet music into note blocks. And that is actually underneath here. And at some point I had thought, I'm going to do that for each of these ways. So each door, each entrance is going to have some panels, and when you step on them, it's going to do that. This was a little pool that's there. Nether stuff. One did come by it. Fun fact, there's not a lot of ocean stuff. That's because there's no fucking ocean anywhere near here. We'll talk about... I wish it wasn't raining, because there's some things in the distance I'd like to show you. I kind of hope the rain clears up, so we can take a look at that. So anyway, this is the second floor. I kind of imagine like there would... So each of these big buildings was kind of built with the intention that they could host events, because that was a thing in medieval culture. You would host events when people came over. You know, your palace was more than just... Your castle was more than just a castle. Your palace was more than just a palace. You would bring other nobles here and show off to them. And that's a thing you would do. So this would kind of be an area where people would congregate and gather. And the second floor would be kind of, you know, maybe there'd be some food set up here. It seems kind of weird to say caters when we're talking about Edo period Japan, but yeah. And then you'd have this floor, which might have been better suited considering it's all level ground. Yes. Fuck, tons of meta materials. This is that stuff. It's not easy to come by. By God, it is not easy to come by. I am playing with the texture pack on, by the way. The Lithos HD texture pack. This was a pain, the roofs to build. I kind of both love and hate myself for committing to this, because on the one side, it kind of works. It's really good for what it's supposed to be. On the other side, it made this very hard to complete just with how difficult these materials were to come. This material was to gather. I had to go to the nether, find it, gather it in hordes. Like, my nether is, like, fucking devoid of all this crap. And the watchtower was going to be the slightly... It was going to be the tallest building, but it was also going to be the tallest floor in the area. Other than... I was considering maybe the Emperor's Palace would have the Emperor's Room be the tallest place in all of Little Edo. And then you have this Japanese-esque style of bridge here to connect. Kind of works. That, by the way... Oop, fell down. Well, then we'll take a look at it. This is the inner workings of that. All of this is what it takes to get that done. So, you know, it was a little complicated, I'm not gonna lie. I had to delay it and redo it and have it done. It was a whole big thing. This took a lot of fine-tuning. And that's kind of why I decided not to do this on all four sides, because I was like, really, I can fit this in the front and the back, and so I was considering doing something for this back end. And we'll take a look at the watchtower too. The watchtower was kind of difficult to build. I developed... This is the roofing, by the way, on this building, by the way, was the last thing I was working on when I gave up on the world. So when I left, this was the project I was working on, which is why you'll see evidence of... I think I finished this part. Yeah, no, no, I didn't. I did not. Wow, okay, so... Yeah, no, I finished. Oh, good, it cleared up. So, you may notice a lot of spruce. That entire hill over there is spruce forests. I cleared all of it for the spruce needed for this building project. So, when I needed spruce, I went over there. Why didn't I use birch? Because birch doesn't have the same color. So, there is a lot of spruce involved in this building. In all of these buildings. And I took it all from over there. I really do like how those roofs turned out. Yeah, and this little stone cutter's there because I was doing a lot of stone stuff and I wanted precise amounts. And with this stuff in particular, I wanted to make sure I wasn't like having leftover pieces, so I used stone cutters because you can do one-to-one conversions rather than having to make things, you know, 4 or 6 at a time. This side was going to be the servants' quarters. I had finished the tower and I kind of started building the bridge over there. It was going to be a building that started here and then had floors going down. And that was going to be that. Each of these was going to stand on a little... Each of these wood pieces was going to stand on an iron block. Let me see if what I was going for, because I think I completed it over here. Yeah, so it was each going to be fixed on an iron block. And again, I kind of like how this building turned out. I think this one is the one where I really came together best. That was going to be the servants' quarters over there. And that, back behind there, that was all going to be cleared away to make the Emperor's Palace. The Emperor's... Oh! Yeah, so the Emperor's Palace. So this was going to be the Edo Palace, and that was going to be the Emperor's Palace. And the Emperor's Palace was going to be really cool because it wasn't just going to be a... Clearly not the first time I did that. It wasn't just going to be just a palace. It was also going to be this massive kind of garden. And then at the end of that was going to be a smaller version of like the little tower, you know, with some rooms and stuff, and then the sleeping quarters. That used to be my watchtower, or light tower. It still stands. You may be looking at it like, it kind of looks damaged. It is damaged. At some point, I got a hold of some TNT, and I kept looking at it in the distance, and I'm like, it kind of looks like a penis. And that's not really what I want, so I kind of made up my mind and decided I'm gonna blow it up. But it mostly survived and doesn't look as much like a penis anymore. It looked a lot like a penis. So yeah, that's that. I like the way these are done. I think I was originally I was going to do that kind of fence windowing on the tower, and then ultimately was like, nah, let's not. I was like, I kind of liked it as the possibility of being able to walk out onto it. Also, one thing I don't know if I ended up doing it. Yeah, so one thing I was going to do is, you'll notice these tower have stilts to add a little bit of realism, and the actual watchtower does not. I was going to do that with the watchtower, and that's something I just never got around to. Lots of materials in there. Books, protection, because I have a librarian. I don't know if any of my if any of the villagers are alive. Oh yeah, I did end up going to the ocean and getting some prismarine, because originally I was going to use prismarine for the roof. I couldn't get a hold of as much of it. And actually, scratch that. I could get a hold of as much as it. It was going to be very difficult to get to gather. So I guess now we have nothing left but to look at the city proper. Now these are pretty cool. These are actually gates. These are lava gates. So let me show you how this works. So there's a bell tower on each of these gates where you can like ring it and alert, and that'll be where I end. You push that, and not only does it drop lava, but it also drops that gate there. So, and these two floors, so you're trapped below and you can't really get out without swimming up the lava or placing down a block or mining the dirt. There were flaws in the defense, but it was a pretty effective method of, it was a pretty good idea. Yeah, it's not bad. I kind of tinkered around with several different ideas for putting in a gate, and those are the ones I kind of settled on. I'll also go ahead and look at the farmhouse. Here it is. Yeah, so I've got my golden fields. I decided at some point that I wanted an aesthetic where you could look out over a golden field of wheat and then see the walls of the city. The walls of the city ended up being a lot more squarish than I wanted them to be. So this was that. This church is untouched, and it is the only building that has not been enhanced, and I kind of liked that as an idea, because even my hometown of Charlotte, where I'm living when I'm making this video, but I'm not actually planning to live there forever, that is a thing. That is a place. That is, there's churches here that were built a long time ago and still stand in their original form, and so I kind of wanted to leave that be. That stuff, not easy to come by. There's like, I want to say there's like maybe 18 blocks of it all around. And yeah, it's all real, no cheats. We will climb the watchtower. We will do that. The watchtower was originally a map place. Are these guys dead? Yeah, so this is one of the ones where I had issues. So this was originally a blacksmith, and it sounds like some of the people survived. Most of the buildings in this town that I built are built on top of the places where the originals were, where actual versions of them were. And I kind of started a little weird with this, but this was always a blacksmith building. That was the other blacksmith's building. And this was always a kind of a cooking building where it's got the smokers. This was not always a Fletcher's. I put that there. Maybe it was actually. No, that wasn't anything. There was all. Okay, all right. No, okay. Sorry. I know it sounds like I'm making shit up. I'm not. I just. Anyway. Anywho. These were. Everything was once. Everywhere where there's a building was always a building. I just may have changed what the building was. So, if the building was like a specialty building, it stayed. If it was not a specialty building and it was just like a regular house, I turned it into something. So this was just a regular house. That was a regular house. This button gives you night vision. Yeah, so this dispenser is filled with... Oh, no, it's not. Hold on. This dispenser was filled with night vision arrows. Yeah, so the villagers are trapped inside, and I did that until such time where I could build the device till I got around to building a type of wall that wouldn't kill my villagers if they ran into it. Because that was a concern I had. And also until such time where I could let these guys wander. This was always a fisher's hut. And then I built this on top, and I'm like, yeah, fisher's hut. And then I'm like, oh, crap, how the hell am I going to put a villager up there? Villagers can't climb ladders. This is still a fisher's hut. This goes all the way down. Pretty cool. So yeah. Then you have the tool room. This was always what this was. This villager has been the favorite villager because he gives me shit like this. Unfortunately, he was the one who most commonly despawned. So I would have him, and he kept phasing through the building when I would reload and then dying. This fountain was always a fountain. Ow. I just went ahead and made it a cooler, nethery fountain. This library was always a library. Again, these buildings, the original intention was that eventually these buildings would be open and the villagers would be able to walk around freely. I never really got there, unfortunately, and I don't think I'm going to, but that is something I'm going to retain in my new build. I am working on a new world. It's already a pretty big project. It's not quite this big yet. We are working on it. This, by the way, is a map of the whole city. There's another map that is the city at a different point. So this is everything you see from above. You have my farms over here. My trusty, noble, definitely not unholy steed. My collection of stolen llamas. Yeah, so basically, like, the Wandering Trader was basically the only person who would spawn in, and essentially, he would spawn in, and the llamas would always end up in this room, which is my massive storehouse. Like, there are a fuck ton of chests in here, and they are in no apparent order, so anytime you want to find something, you just look through all the chests. Ooh, is that diamond stuff? Hell yeah. Yeah. that's right, because you're near the fire. I'm like, why did I name you Ashy? We'll go into this building in a second, because there's another part to this whole thing. So that's that. The insides of these, so I mentioned bamboo earlier. I was concerned that when I built this, I was going to have an issue of monsters spawning inside the walls, and that was going to have the whole you can't sleep, there's monsters nearby thing. Or it was just going to be annoying, because I was going to be hearing zombie noises all freaking day long. That didn't end up happening. This was going to be a guardhouse. That area was originally going to be a little neighborhood for actual people who I was going to invite, and I was going to give them plots of land, and they could go in those plots of land, and they could have these areas here. And those plots of land they could actually have all the way down. And you may be saying, well, what if there's stuff underneath that you want? Oh ho ho. I kind of thought of that already, and we'll get to that in a bit. The wall does go all the way around. Each of the gates has this kind of thing. This road obviously is not the original road, but it is where the original road was. This part I added. The village originally stopped here. I added all this. So I wanted a farm, so I built the farm, and then when I built the wall, I had to enclose the wall. The farm. God, I really want to say the water's there. Was there originally. Okay, so... Oh, we have to look at the hotel. So the hotel was a little project I was working on, and it was where an original hotel building was. So the thing about the hotel was going to have a bunch of floors, and with each floor, the amount of rooms was going to get smaller, but the size of the rooms was going to get bigger. So, and you'll kind of see how I did that. So basically you have the bottom floor, you have this hallway, and you have 8 rooms. Some of which have doors, others do not. Some people are fancy, they get doors. Other people not so much, you know, what do you want? So 8 rooms, cool. This would have been the reception area, and then we go up to the second floor. Well, the second floor has 4 rooms, but they are each as big as two of the 8 rooms. They also were going to have little bathing areas inside them that were going to be here, and I don't know why. Again, this never got finished off. Cool. And then you had the third floor, and that's kind of where I stopped with this project. And the third floor was going to have 2 pretty nice places. So you're going to have this little sleeping area here, and the pool area here, and a little hangout area here right in front of the pool. Entrance, sleepy place here. You know, gonna have a nice view of the Shinto house, of the Shinto. That's the top of that blacksmith building, by the way. I thought I want that to look like dwarvy as hell. But ironically, not the only dwarvy themed place around here. Can you guess what the other place is? I'll give you a hint. It's where doors belong. Anyway, this was going to be the very top floor, and for the top and for every floor above the first, I did a double layer so that I could put water down and that water would not trip. I kind of felt like if you were on the bottom floor and you couldn't pay a lot, sucks for you, you get water in your face. We'll go there next. Because it's daytime, we'll be able to see long distance. It's good. So this is... Yeah, so that was that. This was originally a hotel. It was not originally this big. It was like this big. Then back here you have this building. This is a mushroom farm here. That's a way out. This is the only entrance that does not incorporate one of the lava gates, because it has a wooden pathway, but it does lead up to the top of this mountain, which originally was the tallest point in all of town. It is now like 4th in that respect. That mountain over there, I called it Near Mount for Near Mountain, even though I think that mountain's actually near, but it was closer looking to my original home, which was that building. We will certainly talk about that, because that has a story in itself about why there's no villagers here, even though there was already a village. Oh, a horse, cool. Anyway, and you can see the mushroom place. So you may be thinking, this is kind of an awkward thing. Wait a second, this is built on half slabs. Right you are, because mobs cannot spawn on half slabs, or at least they weren't supposed to be able to. I never remember finding mobs in there, so I kind of feel like that held true. This was also a building originally, and when I say these were buildings originally, all this stone ground was not always here. I built that after I built the buildings. So yeah. And then you had this is the stonecutters building. You know, so you had this area, and then this was going to be a stonecutters building. And also maybe carpentry. I can't remember if that's a thing. But yeah, so you were going to have arms and armor here. Yeah. I actually had a second Minecraft home where I went a little hard on the villager conversion. This was originally the grand storage area, so when I was building this whole place, this is where I kept all my building materials. So if I was building, this is where I was putting stuff. All 6 of these boxes were once, I think like 4 of these were filled with cobblestone. There was a lot of cobblestone in these boxes. So I think maybe 2 of these were filled with cobblestone, and the rest were filled with like other types of stone, and then one was always like filled with miscellaneous stuff. There's the town, and yeah, we'll go take a look up top. There's also a little living quarter on top of the storehouse, because there was also a building here before, so there's a building there now. This was just something to put in the middle. This little patch of green, you may be wondering what it is. This used to be a cobblestone generator. Aw, kitten. This used to be a cobblestone generator I had that would empty out here, and basically it actually got to the point where that was the least convenient method of gathering cobble. The more convenient method was to go over to the strip mine and take all the fucking cobble, because essentially, you see all this stone brick? That was not always there. I had to make all that stone brick. You may not know this, but that's not how worlds start. This was not always here. That was there. That's the place we started in, the little strip mine. Alright. Netherwort farm. This area had a huge issue because of the netherwort farm. I couldn't light it up. I didn't really know about the half. You can't do half slabs for netherwort. So this had an issue with creepers, as you may be able to tell. It was a pretty consistent thing where creepers would sneak up on me while I was standing around here, blow up and destroy this place. Alright, let's go visit. Oh, no. Alright, so this was my original house. I came in, there was no one living here, there was no blacksmith in the village when I came here. So I decided to be that blacksmith. This was my original home, this was my original bed. And I decided to build down. And this is kind of where a lot of that stone came from. We'll talk about that in a sec. Yep, and this is a ravine that runs underneath the village. Pretty cool. Not where a lot of materials came from, honestly. I did a huge mining project elsewhere. And originally that elsewhere was here. That's why this looks like it leads to nowhere. There was actually something here originally. Evidence of creepers. Cool. So that's this, and oh, hold on. Right, so originally this was closed up like this, and there's that button you can press which does that, and moves all these things into place. Or you can flip a switch on the other side. So this was my underground. This was the original place I built. This was originally going to be the luxury living quarters, but as you may hear, it has a neighbor problem. Yeah, a little bit of a placement issue. I kind of neglected and put my cows on top of my luxury living space. So that was a problem, and that's why this place ended up getting used. That flips all those switches, by the way, which, oh, shoot. Why is that doing that? Why aren't you pushing it? Doesn't matter. This was... I basically learned to do redstone for a lot of this. Why didn't that one impinge? Oh, because that's supposed to be... I see. Okay, well, I'm not really going to fix it now. So this is I believe it's called a XOR logic gate, where it will activate if it has input from either side. And this is a timer, so if you are... The idea is that this could be locked in or out, but if for whatever reason I got locked out, I could break that original little piece that was there and press that button, and it would give me just enough time to get through before it would close again, after which I would come in here, take a piece of stone, and block the original block to pretty much trap anyone who is pursuing me. So this... As you can kind of see, that holds the charge just long enough. I would end up using that for other things. So, cool thing there. That is my original nether portal. I think this is where I originally kept stuff for the nether portal. No. That's where I kept map stuff, because this was also going to be the map room. In fact, this room was originally completely symmetrical on all four sides. I ended up adding that because this needed more space. And that really is just kind of plastered over. Like, if I break this, it's the same. It's, you know. Oh, no, it's not. Huh. It's been months. But yeah. I like this place. But I spent a lot of time on it, so I may be biased. After that, you'll come through here. Originally, how this was going to work is you were going to go through here, and this mine was going to lead you further in. This was originally going to be a two-part room where you had this area and that area. I kind of wanted to maintain a natural-ish look, and if you actually go through here... Wait, not this one. This one. You come up in the bamboo farm. Or the sugarcane farm. And that's kind of not a bad place for that, for a secret entrance, because that's actually common architecture of sugarcane farms, is to have that kind of stuff there. So that kind of worked, so it wasn't necessarily where people are going to be able to be like, hey, what's this random trap door? But they also weren't going to fall straight into the water and end up inside my secret area. So that was cool. Don't know why I put that there. I think I was just having fun. Any case. So this is the pathway down. This took a lot of time to build, this pathway. Probably more than it looks like. Because I did have to use netherrack, and these are vines, and the vines kept catching on fire from the fire, which was an issue, but I wanted this place to be lit, and I wanted this to go down pretty deep. This was prior to caves and cliffs, so the furthest you could go down was zero. There was no negative, so when I got here, I kind of stopped. So this is the down area, and caves and cliffs does this weird thing where it kind of puts, you know, shade onto the side when you get down really deep. My cockatoo and my dog. This area was a lot of fun to build, actually. I really enjoyed it. I kind of liked these kind of things. But each of these leads in a direction, and each direction serves a purpose. This direction is obviously another portal. The reason this one cuts here, rather than being up close like that, is one, because nether portal, but also so that I could have built a gate here if I had an issue with things wandering through the nether portal. That never ended up being a thing, because this isn't an exit to another portal. This is an entrance. So, I never really encountered that issue where I would have things wandering through the nether portal. So you had all these rooms. First off, this we'll go here. This was going to be like a mine area, but it actually ended up connecting to the ravine, and then I kind of did mining with it, and kind of ultimately was like, nah. Lapis, which is very underutilized in my builds, largely having to do with it doesn't look pretty. Yeah, so this was something I did at one point where I was like, I want to clear out the whole thing underground. Didn't end up doing it because I'm like, this is actually a very annoying way to do things. And I was originally going to have like mines all over here. This was going to be a secret entrance where this part was going to be hidden from the ravine, so this part here was going to disconnect. I didn't end up doing and have a secret entrance. I didn't end up doing that, you know, because really I couldn't figure out a good way to do it. Okay. This fun fact: these chests are here as storage, but they're also here because I needed a place to put stuff while I was building these rooms here. So this was gonna serve a purpose. This was gonna be a log and iron breakdown room, so you could break down your wood here, and that's what these saw cutters are doing, and that's crushing that into that. And this is a massive steam furnace, because this is all supposed to be steam powered, and then you have these steam vents over here. This area here where you break down the lava blocks, and you have little things hanging from the ceiling to help you do that. You go through this room. This is a pouring room, which, you know, would have, the idea was that this area would be pouring, and, you know, that would be the end result, and that ended up not happening. I kind of had this thing where it stops and then starts again, and then you have, there was originally more in here, but I needed iron for other stuff, so I took it. And then you had the Dwarven Dining Hall, which was this, and I have reutilized this method of silverware in a new build. And then you have this little kitchen here, and then this little storeroom here. The cool thing is I was able to glitch some of these to stay open. If you do it from far enough away, while you're moving, you can kind of get the thing to open, but the UI will close, and essentially the barrels will just stay open. And I thought, why not do that? I did it on accident. I'm like, hey, maybe I do that on purpose. In fact, let's check if there's anything in these barrels, because I know, yeah, I'd actually put stuff in these barrels. There might be more, but I don't want to mess with it. Hold on, let me see if I can do it. They might have patched that up, but you used to be able to do it. Oh yeah, we'll go to there. So yeah, that's, originally there were going to be like a couple other rooms, but I didn't end up doing that. Alright, so this area, this was going to be the living quarters. So you may remember earlier when I was talking about, like, hey, I was going to give this to actual people and they were going to have that space. Well, this is those spaces. This is that area. This is, the gate is about right here. So this is that area over there, and I was originally going to have them come up, build houses, and then I was going to build a road that was going to be run exactly parallel to this road, just higher up. This is my brother's room. I gave him some starting stuff. He didn't end up staying very long. you know, whatever. Shit. This is the map room. We'll go in there in a sec, because I'm also kind of proud of that. And then you have this area, which is going to be like an underground little area. That was going to be like kind of a marketplace I was going to do over here in this hall, and that's where we just were a second ago. So if you go down that way and turn left, you'll be in the Dwarven Dining Hall. This is caves, because those are things. Yeah. Obsidian was a commonly used building material. Anyway, this is the map room. It's pretty big. This space was eventually all going to be utilized to make one massive map of the area. And if you might be looking, you might say, no, hold on a second. That looks kind of different. Well, that's because that's when that is before. So that is when I just started to build the wall, and when the only developed building was mine. So yeah, there are actual. This is let me get a little closer so you can see. Like, yeah, I'm not joking around. That was once a village, and I just built up on it. So, yeah, that's the fountain. Still where it was. That area, I think I was just starting to pat down for stuff. Yeah, I was trying to do something there. That's the cobblestone generator. That area there is bare. That area there. I had already started putting trees there, so yeah, you'll see that. There was none of that building. And that's actually where we are right now. That is near Mount. That is another mountainy area. There is another village over there. If you go very far in that direction, you'll hit the ocean. If you go very far in that direction, you'll hit some badlands. That way, you'll run into a desert. And if you go north, I never really found anything up north, except for like right outside of that map. There is actually an abandoned village. In fact, actually, I think it might be over there. In any case. And then I will take you back up top and kind of show you what my plan was for this world. And then I'm going to get off because I need to make some dinner. I'm getting kind of hungry. It's getting kind of late. It's raining again. Well, that's not good. I don't want it to be raining. I'm going to show you while it's raining, because I really don't want to climb that thing. Yeah, I will go ahead and climb that thing. So this was originally, I think they're called observatories. There's a building that had a room that was up high, and I decided to turn it into a even better observatory. This was a pain in the bahonkus to build, especially this part here, because I kept falling off, and every time I would land there, and some of my stuff would end up in the lava, which was frustrating, to say the least. So yeah. I'm gonna be so high up that, yeah, the rain, we might be above the rain. So yeah, if I fell from this height, I would not land safely. I would most definitely die. Huh. Why did those go out? Wait, will fire go out if it's exposed to what? No, because those are still lit. Yeah, so originally what I was gonna do is that was all gonna be cleared out, to be the fields of wheat. Didn't do that. That area was going to be the elven thing. There was going to be more Edo stuff all over there. Then there was going to be some other cultural architecture represented. I think I was going to do a Viking thing in that direction. Like over there. Nordo-Viking. And I think I was maybe planning... I know I had plans for this area here, and I think I was planning to do some more semi-modern, maybe industrial area construction. Oh, the rain cleared up over there. And basically, what my eventual plan was is you were going to climb on top of this watchtower, and everything you were going to look out at was going to be something I'd made. So everything you could see was something I had made. I ended up cutting the project early. I can't remember what game it is, but like a new game came out and I got hooked on that instead. I don't think it was Subnautica Below Zero. No, it wasn't that. It was... Gosh darn it. See, now the llamas just end up in the tower, which kind of takes care of itself because lava. Yeah. This place was a lot of fun to make. I learned some building techniques. This is my first really big build. I wouldn't really... I don't know. I think there's people who build bigger stuff, so it's kind of hard to give this too much credit. I don't really have anything else, except I do want to do one thing real quick. My compass. You might have saw that when I was up on the tower. I liked that. I thought that was pretty cool. I think in the future I would try and hide that on top of a building. But yeah. Yeah, I think the compass is... What the hell? What in the world, Minecraft? Oh. But yeah, I did that. So that was pretty cool. These lava fountains were, meh. I was originally going to do them all over the place, but then I was like, they're not as pretty as I thought they were. Oh, and you have these guys here who kind of stand out over the gate and kind of welcome you in. You got one over there. Originally there was going to be one over every entrance. I don't believe I ended up doing that. I think I did it over the 3 main entrances. Yeah. So there were 3 main entrances. Nope, just the 2 front entrances. Which, ironically enough, are places that only lead to my territory. So, I don't know what my intention was there. Yeah. Yep, alright. Well, appreciate you guys from watching, and also just showed my username, but I think that was already present. If you like this video, I don't think I'm going to edit it at all. I'm really doing less YouTube these days. I just wanted to do this because I felt like I put a lot into this, and I kind of felt like I abandoned it. So I'm just kind of feeling like I wanted to go ahead and show this off because it would be the last thing I did. And yeah. I don't know. I'll probably show my new build when I get... Well, I don't think I'll finish it. I think I'll probably do what I did here, where I'll build it up, then just start wanting to do other things. I'm looking forward to the release of Battlefield 2042, so that'll probably... That or Far Cry 6 will be the thing that drag me away. As a Cuban descendant, I feel like I have an obligation to play Far Cry 6. But anyway, yeah. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and leave a like.